Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ASL. It's time for the final group, the round of 24, Group F. This is a group that a lot of us have been looking forward to. We've got some awesome gamers here today. Best, Leta, Queen, and Jadong are getting ready to hop in just a moment here. But opening us up, um, I'm Saiyan SC with me, Xun. Dude, I cannot wait to see it, these guys perform today. I'm really looking forward to seeing Bess and Jadon at their absolute peak in Group F.
Oh, me as well. This is probably going to be potentially one of the most exciting groups. We did just have Flash's group not long ago, but I mean, that was a Terran all group, and I kind of feel like this has potential of being like the most special group out of all of them. We've also had some great underdog stories along the way in the round of 24, probably shaping up to be quite literally one of the most exciting ASLs we've had. It's kind of blowing my mind a bit. You had Ample like kind of throwing the game against Sulky in match number 1, and then he actually manages to get the rematch win over Sulky in like a really big war of attrition. You had YSC finally showing some great games in the ASL. That's been a long time coming. Very well deserved by him as well. He's been grinding like crazy. And of course, yesterday in the Flashes group, we had Piano, as in organ, the caster, absolutely smashing face and eliminating the likes of Speed to be here with us going forward into the round of 16. We can see some of those players already waiting in that next round now. Soma, Snow, BC Barracks were the seeds from the previous seasons. They'll be getting picks on the group ceremony selection about who will go into their group, and who maybe get swapped around as well. So that's going to be interesting, like what tactics they have planned, or like what players they're going to pick or not pick, and what have you.
Yeah, what a huge upset that was yesterday, man. Piano making it through. God, that's the
Crazy.
last person I would have thought
Yeah,
getting out
same.
of that group. But he played magnificently. He had some really great strategies, especially that strategy game number 1 versus Rush. My gosh, what a crazy, crazy TVT that was. Yeah, we've had some great games so far, but I'm looking forward to this group and what kind of wildness is going to come here. We got, Leta's in there as well. I think this group is actually pretty decent for him. Since there's so many Zerg players, he's really going to be able to show off his Wraith
Hmm.
style and, go for a lot of 1-1-1 plays and try his best to sneak out of this group. I don't know if he's ever been in the round of 16 before,
Don't
but
think
he's
so.
been he's been in the scene for a long time. He's
Yeah,
been here and there. I think he's been in the round of 24 before,
he
but
has.
he is really just well known for his strong Wraith play and generally gets dismantled by players like Best. So I'm assuming we're going to see Best take him down first, and then he'll have to muddle through the rest of the group.
Yeah, I mean, there are 2 Zergs here today for him to maybe get some wins. It is very likely that he's going to be dropping down to that losers match to start things off. Best is an absolute beast in PvT, quite literally the strongest macro Protoss on the planet, and he seems to break apart seemingly unbreakable Terran positions, no matter how entrenched they are, how many siege tanks and mines they've got. He seems to be able to just bowl them over more often than not, and is also really good at playing from behind too. We saw him slip a little bit in some of his games in things like KCM, but as far as like qualifiers to get here into the ASL, he's been playing fantastic. So I do expect high things from him today. I'll do a little bit of a breakdown now for you guys since we've got everyone on stage. Best, he's had a stellar performance in that qualifiers, like I was talking about. He got a spot here today early in the ASL Open Day 1, beating the likes of Hero and HY without dropping a single game. King Kong himself is definitely one of our favorites to get out of this group. He'll be playing up against Leta in that first match today. Leta qualified in day 2 of the main group qualifiers, taking out Gameo 2-1 in the semis and then Action 2-1 in the finals. It's been a long time since we've seen him in the ASL. Back in ASL season 16, he got knocked out in the round of 24. So let's see if he can make it through this time around. It's been a long time coming. Queen, qualified on day one of the main qualifiers, taking down Yabsab 2-0 in the semi-finals and Speed 2-0 in the finals. He had a pretty rough time though in the ASL Open alongside Best. He played in the same format as him on the opposite side of the bracket. He had to play a lot of ZVZs and he was struggling them as well. Which could be a sign he's also going to have a hard task with his first game today. He'll be playing against Jaedong in match 2, who qualified on day 1 of the main qualifier groups, winning out over Iron 2-1 in the semis and Tyson 2-0 in the finals. He's been playing extremely well in the Pro League recently, coming close to a 90% win rate at one point, which is insane. The Donger is playing like a real tyrant again, and I'm sure a lot of fans, myself included, will be looking to him for great games as well as being a favorite to win in this group today.
Yeah, he's looking so damn good, and I mean, a lot of people are concerned that this might be another rug pull. He's looked good in the past. It seemed like he was back, but honestly, I'm more convinced than ever here today. Sitting here right now after watching so much Pro League on my channel. Those of you guys who have joined in on the stream have seen Jaedong looking like an absolute beast and looking like the tyrant once again. Playing
Mm.
JVZ. It's not really ZVZ when it comes to this guy. He is his own thing, and he just bucks the trend of all Zerg players who hover around a 50% win rate. He's uh, consistently getting 70+%, which is just unheard of in that matchup.
Yeah, no, he looks fantastic. We have had a lot of, fans doubting him because of those previous results where he played really good leading up to the ASL and then he kind of just doesn't perform to that same level and people get really disappointed when that happens. But yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I feel like this is the most convinced I've been ever that, okay, no, Jaedong's here to ball. And I'm super looking forward to potentially having this guy deep in the tournament, especially if he's going to be playing against the likes of like Bisu and Flash and Best and some of these other guys deep into the tournament. Oh my gosh, that would be super fun and exciting. I really do hope this guy performs and stays around. There's a lot of fans here today just to see him. He's really got a similar level of star power as someone like Flash. Maybe not quite to the same degree, but a very close second.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Flash being in this tournament has lit a fire in this guy. I think he is ignited by the fact that his old rival is coming back for potentially his last season. I would be devastated if Jaedong went out of this group because I definitely want to see his match versus Flash somewhere in the tournament. Somewhere they have to meet.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to be, if it's the round of 16, round of 8, but I feel like destiny is calling, man. Jaedong has to get to a point where he can face off against Flash.
I think it has to happen. Like, if there's any kind of script writers for the universe, please, please, please give us Jaedong versus Flash. We don't ask for much, but that is certainly one thing I'm sure a lot of people are wishing for. Best looks really confident and comfortable on stage, by the way. I'm liking the energy and the vibes that I'm getting from him. He's joking around now as well. Queen kind of smirking, so is Jaedong. A lot of good energy on stage from these guys. Leta actually looks pretty comfortable up there as well. Sometimes when you've not been in the ASL for a long time, it's easy to feel a lot of jitters, even if you have been on stage in the past a lot. Back in 2008, Leta was actually one of the best players on the planet. I think he was ranked like top 4 and maybe like being like one of the, not the best Terran, but like one of the best Terrans as well. So back in the day, Leta was super good. It's been a long time since he was able to dominate in the scene, but it's great to have him back as well.
Yeah, it's funny how much things have changed with pro gamers, and I remember back in the old days, any sort of a interview would be an absolute train wreck. These guys couldn't even talk to a girl, not to mention on stage with a microphone. But now they're up here. They look very comfortable. They get a lot out of them. Lots of laughs. Always looking forward to the translation when it comes out through Tasteosis and watching that back and just seeing what these guys were thinking going into the into the games, and then how it ended up turning out becomes kind of a spectacle all of its own. So uh, it's cool to see these guys. Yeah, they are looking comfortable. I'm a little bit excited to see Queen play as well. He's been on and off a lot
Mm.
in the past couple of years. He was the two-time ASL champion. He got kind of usurped. Seemed like he fell off a little bit, that he just wasn't as interested in playing. You know, Went down in the qualifiers to BCM. That was like a massive blow to his ego for sure. You
Oh
could just
yeah.
tell that he was a little bit deflated after that. And, he just didn't feel as confident. And, Jadong is one of those guys. If you ever watch interviews with him, he talks so much about confidence and, the mentality behind pro gaming and how much of a huge factor it is. And so, if Queen is feeling good here, I think he's going to be able to perform well, but he may be still suffering a bit from that deflation that came about after that BCM loss just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he did enjoy a period of dominance there, especially in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup. For about a year, he looked so unstoppable, and he was the guy to beat. And he kind of dropped off quite quickly after that. And like you say, had some hits to his ego along the way. I mean, it's got to be a hit to anyone's ego. Imagine you're a two-time champ and you get knocked out by an A rank on the ladder that cheeses you out in the qualifiers. It doesn't feel good, right? Like, surely not. And yet mentality is always super important in any kind of competitive setting. You kind of have to maintain a positive winning attitude every step of the way. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you expect yourself to perform badly, you're probably going to perform badly. And if you expect yourself to do really well and win, those chances are going to be increased exponentially as well. Today, I would love to see some great games out of Queen. I don't think he's getting out of this group, but I am looking forward to maybe seeing him perform great as he once could. My two favorites are definitely going to be Best and Jadong.
Yeah, I agree with you there for sure. I think Best and Jadong will be getting out of here first, but we'll see what Queen can do. Oh, yeah, I didn't really recognize that guy. Yeah, he seemed a little bit different. Is that Leta? I was thinking for a second there. He looks a little bit thin for Leta. Yeah, Best claiming back his chair here. Look at that fat win rate versus Darren, 55%. That's the important win rate for this season.
Yeah, he's always been so great against Terran. Like, I don't even feel these statistics fully represent Best's ability. It's just that ASL is that brutal of a tournament. So it's very common you'll see a lot of the best players, pun unintended, being around that 50% level. And she's not playing here today. She looks like she's trying to hide a smirk. Like, yeah, I'm not playing. And then Leta's like, hey, get out of my chair, all right? Like, we'll do our coaching session later. Get out of here.
Oh, no high five? Man, denied. Oh, jeez. Well, I wonder if he can stand his blow, or the blow to the ego there from not not reciprocating the high five. I'm sure he's going to be fine. 25% win rate versus Protoss, but can't really read into that too much because he does have so few games played.
Mm.
Definitely the uh, lowest games out of everybody on this stage right now by
Right.
far.
Yeah, he was so good back in the day. Like I say, like back in 2008, I think was his best year. He was literally like a top 4 player and one of the best Terrans. It's just been a long time since that period of dominance we've seen from Leta. He has got super good micro, though. We were talking about his Wraith control earlier. Let's see if he can show some sparks of genius here today in this first game against Best. Not going to be easy, though. Best is an absolute beast in this matchup. I do imagine this is going to be a relatively comfortable victory for Best, unless Leta's got something special cooked up.
Yeah, I imagine you're probably right. Can't get complacent though. I mean, we've
Mm.
seen it before. Round of 24, there's no forgiveness in this part of the tournament. There's no chance for redemption unless you go through the losers match, and even then, it becomes extremely hard. So we're gonna be hopping into this first game, guys. Best versus Leta, ASL 21, round of 24, Group F. Let's get it started. All right, best over here in the top right, Leta in the bottom left. Cross map positions. What kind of weirdness is Leta gonna pull out for us here today?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. With the cross map spawns, I mean, it'd be really punishing for later if Best does elect to go for something like a Nexus first as well. You can pull the boys, you can still punish it. You can even do some shenanigans like a forward second barracks proxied to punish it. It's not that strong. If the opponent's not gas stealing you, it works best when you're gas stolen because the Protoss is a little bit behind curve as well, and since you can't make gas anyway, it's a great second choice rather than having to commit into making a bunker expand. But in this situation, I doubt we'll see something like that to punish a 12 Nexus from later. I think he'll open up pretty orthodox to kick things off. I'm not so convinced Best will go for a Nexus first either, but I would love to see it.
All right, not going to be a Nexus first, it looks like here, but as we're just getting into this game, the first game of the night, guys, just want to mention that Xun and I, we don't get paid for doing the ASL that goes up on the StarCastTV YouTube page, and we don't really get anything from casting this directly. All of the money that we get, or any of the money that we get for casting, comes from you guys through the crowdfunding webpage Patreon or through our personal PayPal links, which are up on that page. It's Saiyan Xun Duo Cast over on Patreon. We really appreciate the support that you guys give, helping us to keep on doing this and making it worth our time to stick with it. And we're planning to stick with it for a long time to come.
Oh yeah, many years to come. I can't imagine doing something else. We've kind of speculated behind closed doors, like, oh, maybe there's another game we could cast eventually as well, but nothing is going to take priority over our love for StarCraft. That's just the reality of it. Like, we've been around for a long time. We really fell in love with this game in our childhoods, and I would want nothing more than to keep casting this until the game finally tapers off and we don't see any pro games anymore. And who knows, that could be a very long time coming. We thought these guys would be kind of retiring in their late 20s, early 30s. They wouldn't be able to kind of hang anymore, and eventually there wouldn't be enough players to replace them. But that's not been the case. Most of these guys are in their mid-30s and still playing absolutely out of their mind, saying, and look at Best, he is being a little bit greedy. He's cutting. He's actually going to make a 17 Nexus here. He's cutting early production to do this. Like, he's not making a Dragoon right now. He's just trying to optimize a little bit of greed here, and it's hard to punish from later. Like, he's cross map. He is playing an orthodox mid-range style. You know, he's just getting his gas and factory at a usual timing. Oh, he's actually going to play 1-1-1 on one base. Okay, so he is going to make a starport right away.
This is highly unusual Terran play, going for that early of a starport. Best would love to get in there and kind of figure out what's going on, but as long as this probe is denied, he's really not going to know that this is coming. If Best goes for something like a 3-gate observer after this Nexus, he's going to be in a fantastic spot, but he might not do that. He might get a little bit more greedy, you know? He might try to quickly get into a Reaver, or, you know, try to get into a third base a little bit quicker on maybe 1 gate, maybe 2 gates, and get punished. Because this is likely going to be a Vulture drop. There's the add-on. I doubt that it's going to be something crazy like Cloak Wraith. I imagine just Vulture drop.
Yeah.
Try to get in there, deal some damage while getting the CC out behind it.
No, I definitely think it's going to be a Vulture drop for him. And look at Best. He is going straight into Robot off 1 gateway. That's not too unusual yet, but if he doesn't start making a 2nd gateway immediately, could be finding himself in a spot of bother here, especially because most of the Dragoons are going to be at the front door, making sure there's nothing like a Vulture run by, and he can shut down the strong FD push that might be coming and what have you. Mine upgrade already finished up here for later, and because there's no scouting information here from Best, hopefully he's erring on the side of caution and will be expecting some kind of early aggression. He knows later is a strong micro user, and it is likely that he'll go for some kind of tactics like this, laying down some mines, covering the mineral only before that dropship is ready. Just now popping out. Look at the timing of this dropship. Like usually you'll see the drop coming into the base around about 6 minutes 20 or something like that. It's going to be almost a whole minute sooner than Best is expecting. And he's not going to really anticipate that. I can't imagine. I just don't see him spotting this early. He has got a probe on the periphery of his base. That could help him out identify this. I really would love it if Best could spot this as it's coming in, but I don't think he will. Ooh.
Oh, it's so close. He's going to see it. He sees it there right at the last second. This is actually fantastic from Leta. You know, it's really hard to wall in the natural with some buildings here. He's going to pull every single probe to the natural, blocking on top of the ramp. This is not too bad. That's quite a lot of damage, man. That is... Oh, man. That is a lot of damage. Yeah, you can't really build just a bunch of buildings here and block this out. So the little counterattack at the front, I mean, it's going to get shut down here because of the method of holding from Best. But this is a good idea. This is a good start. The thing is, that CC is super late behind this. He just threw that down as the dropship was coming in. So Best calmly pulling probes, takes it on the chin a little bit there, but doesn't eat any mines and clears out the main base pretty effectively. I think Best is actually still in a pretty decent spot.
Yeah, no, he is. I think Leta did just barely enough damage to make the game playable. I actually think this is a pretty good game for Best going forward. And I really like the response from Best. Like, he understood, okay, I have my observers on the way. It's not done yet. If I just try and run into the main base with my Dragoons to clean this up, I'm going to have a bad day. It's better to lose a few more probes and retain my Dragoon count. Observer's about to pop out, and I can clean this up a bit belatedly. Dropship moving into position to the natural expansion now to try and get some follow-up damage. Luckily, there's 3 Dragoons here to respond. Later, going to try and target down some of those probes and try and capitalize on the damage he's already been able to ascertain, but it's still not quite enough. I really don't feel this drop has done enough to warrant how late the CC is. It's okay, though. I feel like Leta's not necessarily just going to die to a macro game from Best. I think it's reasonable. Looks like Leta throwing down a couple of additional factories, going into a 3-factory style, getting his armory, getting a second gas, setting himself up for the mid game. But this didn't necessarily go fully to plan for Leta. Best identified the drop a couple of seconds earlier than Leta would have liked, and more probes would have gone down had Best not done that.
It almost feels like if Leta had gone into the main and not thrown down the mines at the entrance to the natural, he might have actually gotten more damage, because the Dragoons would have retreated into the main to defend, and then he could have done that stab into the natural and it would have worked out a little bit better. But you know, Best, he just handled that really, really well. If you make any mistakes in a moment like that, you start to take mine damage. Ooh. It becomes so hard to recover. He's going to catch this dropship. This is a huge moment, getting rid of the dropship right here and now, and trying to gun down these vultures as well. Only 1 kill, it looks like, for these vaults in the main base. 1 run by into the natural. No kills on that as well. Best finally locking it down and keeping Leta out of his base.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of a lip twitch there from Leta. He's probably not happy with how this game has gone. He was expecting at least a little bit more damage with all of this early game aggression, and Best has done a great job staying cool and calm under pressure, and he seems pretty unfazed by it all. I think he knows that the position is still pretty damn good for him despite losing that many probes, and you know, he's got his 3rd base online now. He's going to be chugging along to a very strong mid game. Shutting down the additional vulture aggression is huge for Best as well. It prevents Leta from consolidating any more damage on him, and Leta's kind of dependent on damage. You can see how desperate he is to get in here and kill some more probes. He knows he's slightly behind curve for a build like this, and maybe that will be his demise, because he sacrificed so many vultures to try and get follow-up damage to compensate, and he's not found it. That just makes Best position more and more comfortable, and he's taken a very fast 4th base as well.
Yeah, this is the power of Best. Like, it doesn't matter what you throw at him, he's going to be hitting his macro and just growing like crazy. And he's got the Dragoons in position. Looks like he'll lose a few probes at this base, maybe 3, 4, something like that. Pretty decent damage, honestly. Leta getting a little bit more out of this run by than he did the previous one, but Best already has his 4th base on the way. I don't see too many tanks here, just 4 tanks so far, a 5th one in the main base. Oh, there we go. He's actually building some wraiths. So Leta's spirit animal, his spirit unit here, finally being constructed. That'll be useful in taking out a potential shuttle with a Reaver that could be coming in, but Best doesn't need to send that out here just yet. And he can keep it with his army. He doesn't have to, like, throw it into the main base and lose it to a bunch of wraiths. So, ooh, run by here. Ooh, barely not able to block in that tiny choke there with the 2 Reavers. Great pylon closing up that area. Looks like you lose a couple more probes, but this is a lot of vultures to have thrown away right before Best could be coming across the map to try and break this 3rd.
Yeah, he's got reasonable damage done with the continuations. I really like that vulture raid on the mineral only. Best was a little bit greedy, not throwing down a pylon to block that off from the northern flank, but it's still not quite enough to be... Oh, this is great though from Leta, catching these 2 shuttles. He scouted them with the vultures. And now one has been taken down. I think one of them was to soak up missile fire shots, and the other one is loaded with units. So I think Best lost the one that was empty. So it's not too bad there for Best overall, but still a great shutdown play from Leta, preventing any kind of response from Best getting some harassment of his own. Vultures coming in again at the mineral only, not going to get anywhere near as many probes this time around. Best is walled off nicely, got a cannon as well to cover that mineral line. Everything looks tighter and tighter for Best as we continue. Finally, Leta has a reasonable count of tanks to defend this 3rd base of himself. He's doing a pretty good game now, I would say, from Leta. This looks more and more playable for him.
Gonna put a few shots on those Reavers. Shave off the shields here, Best. Around this timing is when we generally see him, like, just cranking it up, building a ton of zealots. There's a lot of gateways coming online now, but Best maybe falling behind a little bit in this macro. Look at that, 1,000 minerals in the bank with all these gateways that have just been thrown down. Right around this timing is when we usually see him just running it down on the Terran player and bowling him over on that 3rd base, but he's not quite ready for that. Has Leta actually taken him to task a little bit here, pushed his multitasking a bit, and, given himself some breathing room so that he can actually sit here on 3 bases and kind of power up a bit.
It seems so. I like that Best is making a 3rd cannon at this 4th base location, but it's not quite ready yet, so the vultures can get a decent amount of probes for their troubles. Best is clearing the way to the 12 o'clock, maybe looking to throw down a 5th base relatively quickly as well. And yeah, the macro gates were a little bit delayed. Best kind of having to pick and choose how he wants to optimize after sustaining a little bit of early game damage. He can't do it all, so he didn't want to go aggressive. He wanted to kind of let Leta sit back on 3 bases and instead power up his own economy, but that has delayed his gateway count. Best stayed on 3 gates for a very long time. Now he's got a crazy amount of gateways, and maybe Best looking to punish Leta taking a 4th base while Best secures his 5th.
Love this little task force special forces group from Leta. The science vessel 2 wraiths kills observers so damn quickly, and it's so great for just sweeping the area. I'd like to see him move that around a little bit more. And just keep on clearing out those observers, because forcing the Protoss to keep making observers over and over again does cut into the shuttle count and makes it harder for Best to crack open some of these positions.
It looks like Best is like 12 or so gateways as well. A pretty insane number. Definitely enough to eventually eclipse Leta on the ground. But Leta's had a lot of breathing room, so he will be close to maxed out when the fights start to occur, which could definitely help him in the trade. So one of the techniques of Protoss is to, kind of maneuver around the Terran, avoid direct engagements, and more quickly max out with a superior production. Leta has a 4th CC ready to float, most likely to that 9 o'clock position. And big vulture raiding party trying to get up with the probes. Zealots do come in to respond to that. Obviously, Zealots not the most ideal defensive unit against vultures, but if they can keep your probes alive, not the worst choice either. And they actually do catch quite a lot of probes coming from that 12 o'clock position, because they were sent to mine before the Nexus finished. They were long distance mining it, helping Leta get some additional damage in. This is actually pretty good news for Leta. If you're gonna waste a bunch of vultures, you definitely need to get something done with it. Otherwise, you just open yourself up to a counter attack if you've not got enough vultures to screen the zealots.
And Leta looking much better than I would have expected, man. He's doing really well in this game versus Best. And we're getting close to a max out here, but Leta is really close behind Best, whereas usually we'd see at least a 30 supply advantage for the Protoss at this point in the game. When it comes to Best, he's usually got just overwhelming numbers. And look at this, he's even eating some mine connections. Leta has his +2 done already. He's got double armory rolling. This is kind of surprising, man. I feel like Leta's in actually a very decent position, and Best hasn't been able to do his usual stuff. He's going to try and dive in now with some of these shuttles, dropping the Reavers here right in the middle. Storms are going to be coming out on a lot of these tanks, and Army is going to start to push down in here. Double D matrix at the front line is kind of sick, and these raids actually kill off all these shuttles. Army can't get down this rapid. Actually, the army is quite small, so Best gets rebuffed. Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're so close in supply. It's nuts.
It is really crazy how well Leta's playing. Like, I'm a little bit surprised that even though the drop didn't go as good as it could have, he's still in a fantastic position. He must have been training out of his mind leading up to this ASL. He's playing some great games. Here comes Best for another round 2, trying to get some big storms on those clumped up tanks. Those are some massive storms. You can actually kill any tanks with those storms, but look at how many of them are on red HP right now. They're pretty brittle, basically glass cannons in every sense of the word. He's gonna shuffle them down to a more favorable position behind the healthier tank count line, towards the center high ground ridge. Best does look like he's in an okay spot himself. He's taking that top left rally point. That's another win condition for Best, getting that set up. And softening up those tanks might delay Leta's push out, but actually doesn't look like it's slowing him down too much. He's got the healthy tanks in front, starting to gain some ground in the center. Leta definitely has a tempo lead right now. If he can find a way of pushing across the map and forcing engagements out of Best, this could go horribly wrong for our King Kong.
Yeah, I'm shocked to see Leta actually pretty solidly ahead in supply at this point, maxing out. He's going to have +3 soon. He's going to get over here, sliding by the Dragoons that are supposed to be defending this top right base. And look at this, he's even getting in on top of a bunch of probes, likely. Going to be killing a lot of the workers that were just transferred over to this base. Dude, Leta is playing a hell of a game, game of his life, man. This is a guy who's never made it into the round of 16 before, and he is playing like he deserves to be in the round of 8.
It's kind of insane. Like, I can't even imagine how many games this guy must have ground out to be here today playing this level of game. It's not over yet. Like, Leta might make some mistakes and clump up all of his tanks during the engagements. We'll have to see. A little bit of a drop a tactic from Best, but there's actually not many SCVs at this 6 o'clock base to punish, so not the most cost-effective harassment Best was looking for. And Leta is not slowing down, shoving it down to the northwestern quadrant of the map. You can't engage into that tank line at the moment. Best is in so much trouble. Dragoons dying on a move command. That must have been a mistake from him using his control groups there to reposition his army and sacrifice so much for free. Best is in a world of hurt now. Leta looks like he's going to take out this top left rally point more or less for free. Best is going to have to find some kind of counter offensive on the southern hemisphere of the map, and it's going to be too slow. Leta's going to rotate around and start hitting the 12 o'clock as well. Best looks like he's in so much trouble.
I can't believe it. Best is losing this game, guys. He's definitely in a deficit. He does come in and drop at the center left and get some reasonable storms, but he's going to get cleared out here pretty quickly, and he's losing the top center. Top left is likely to go down as well. He just doesn't have the forces to actually deal with that. Storms need to go down here. There we go. Storm lands on some of these tanks, but Best is getting shoved back, and, you know, Leta's fine. Leta's 100% fine here. All the shuttles go down. Some army coming up to try to flank this army. He's got to keep this base alive, I feel, but he's going to lose every probe.
Yeah, no, I think this game might be over for Best. It looks so brutal. He just doesn't really have a big win condition anymore. He really needed that rally point in the top left to go forward deep into the late game. And he lost a bunch of probes. He hasn't got hardly anything mining at the 12 o'clock, despite losing the space up here. We got 3-1 upgrades for Best, 3-2 for Leta, which obviously favors the Terran. I don't know what to say about this. Like, Best is losing a macro game against Leta, maybe due to just how unorthodox things started out. He lost a bunch of probes. He looked like he was still okay and healthy, but it did slow down his usual macro cycles. The gateways were so delayed, which gave a lot of breathing room to Leta to play catch up of his own with his tank count, and also took a lot of the wind out of Best's sails. So despite Best recovering from that damage, it also seemed to give enough tempo to Leta to play a fantastic late game.
I'm still kind of reeling from the fact that we saw Best just run Dragoons into the tank line earlier on a complete move command. Like, that never happens. That this is just not a thing that can occur in a Best game. We've been watching this guy for ages. He's in the KCM constantly. He's such a bully there. When it comes to Terran opponents, he just smashes face so often, and here he's kind of falling apart. He's losing control of this game, and you know, Leta is slowly grinding him out. He's slowly taking control. He's got such a massive army there in the middle. He has fantastic upgrades, and he is dismantling one of the greatest Protoss players in the entire world.
It is really shocking, like, how well Leta's playing. Early game aggression with good micro, and you'd think, okay, maybe this guy won't have the best late game transition, but no, he's actually playing a fantastic late game as well. This is beautiful from Leta as well, picking off so many High Templars. Oh my gosh, like, nothing is going right for Best right now. Just as he tries to set up the bottom right expansions, now there's vultures dogging the probes in transit. Oh my gosh, Leta's everywhere. This is insanity. Like, this guy was like one of the OGs from 2008, and he's playing here in 2026 like he should have been here every step of the way. I'm so shocked and impressed with Leta's gameplay. Ooh.
Oh, he's unsieged though. Huge drop here in the middle on top of everything. Oh my gosh, full 360 surround on this army, and he is being driven back, pulling back away from this forest. So many tanks are falling down here because of that unsiege. Unreal. Best actually has a good engagement, even with the odds stacked against him in such an extreme manner. He's still able to take a reasonable fight, but I'm not sure if it's enough. Another walk forward here with all these High Templars storming down a lot of these tanks. He's actually clearing up a lot, but still falling further and further behind in supply.
Yeah, Best is great at fighting from behind. He has a fantastic fighting spirit, so I expect nothing less for him, but he is behind in the curve of this game, despite some favorable trades. It's looking an insurmountable task for him. If he can overrun this army, though, that might be one of the catalysts of slowly clawing his way back into this game. He's trying to drop onto that the tank line there with some shuttles to buy some time for units to get in position to attack from behind, and he's actually electing not to engage for now. I think there's a bit of a mistake from Best, maybe some misclicks going on. Not sure what's happening with Best's army right now. He's just gonna sacrifice this Nexus at the 12 o'clock. That's a little bit crazy to me. He has an expansion in the bottom right, but he doesn't have a high probe count. Later also will only be on 2 bases mining, but that's more than enough to take on a Protoss player. 2 mining bases is basically the prerequisite to power out on all of your factories and keep going. Leta has a massive transfer of SCVs to that resecured 6 o'clock location, despite the CC being burning down and low on HP. Best is gonna try and run it down onto that CC and see if he can get a kill move on this expansion. Now, he knows this is one of the lifelines of Leta. If he could punish it, would basically even things out. Another beautiful play from Leta, EMPing an Archon and a High Templar, just taking any wind out of the sails of Best where he can find it. and consolidating his lead. Look at the supplies. Leta is 60 supply ahead of Best right now. Best is struggling, basically operating off of fumes, and doesn't even have a rally point set up in the bottom right.
Yeah, no rally point down there. And no real hope of breaking that base at 6 o'clock either. Like, it's going to take such a massive force to break that location. A 200 army is going to have a hard time, but 117, very unlikely that he can do anything. This is some great control from Leta, and he must have been working hard on his vulture control in the lead up to ASL this season, like taking some lessons from Sharp or something like that, because this is next level from him. Like, we always talk about his wraith control and being one of the best in the world, but vulture control never really been uh, like really outstanding among Terran players. Today, though, he's making a name for himself when it comes to this play. Oh, another great EMP on some of these High Templar. Again, just taking the last out of the sails, the last wind out of the sails for Best.
Man, just adding insult to injury. He's even got a CC ready to float up to the top left to keep chugging along when that 9 o'clock starts to get fully dried up as well. Just playing almost perfectly across the board is Leta. He's had a few hiccups with, his tanks being unsieged or maybe a bit too clumped up here and there, but overall, just masterful play, gunning down the shuttles with those Hellfire missiles as they come in. Some okay storms were Best, but he doesn't have enough storm to break the entire tank line. There's too many EMPs, too many High Templar snipes with the vultures all game long. Just absolute relentless play from Leta, strangling Best out of this game and denying him any oxygen.
I can't believe I'm saying this, man. Leta is gonna beat Best in game number 1. Go to the winners match. This is like Piano. This is a similar story to Piano, man. Like, I mean, such an underdog story here, but Leta is making it happen, and he's gonna kill this bottom Nexus. Best can tap out any time, man. He is 70 supply behind, with very little hope in winning this game. I'd say like a 1% chance of taking this home at this point.
It does really feel like that. GG is cool, and look at the relief on Leta. Fist to the sky. He knows he played absolutely otherworldly that game. Definitely sweating a bit on stage as well. It's been a long time since he had the cameras and lights in his face like that. Quite literally, you can see the cameraman like hanging over your station, getting your reaction at the end of that game. But really well deserved win from him. I'm so impressed with Leta. Like, oh my god, Saiyan. Like, it's the exact same thing. We had this happen with Piano, with Ample. Like, you kind of expect them to show some good games, but you don't expect them to start winning against this level of opponents and actually look like they're going to be breaking out of the group like this. Like, what a season of ASL that we're having this many underdog stories occur.
Yeah, there's always a few breakouts in the round of 24. That best of 1 setup. It's kind of special the way that ASL is organized here with that best of 1. Anything can happen, guys. We get crazy upsets. We get all kinds of unexpected results. If we were looking for, only the best players, only the most solid players, it would be all best of 5s, and it would be only, standard maps. But we like to mix it up, keep it interesting. And guys, we're going to go do a commercial break. When we get back, Queen is going to be going up against Jaedong. It's coming right up. All right, guys, welcome back. It's time for our second match of the night, Queen versus Jaedong. They're up on stage right now, getting prepared. A ZVZ here between two legends of the sport, the two-time ASL champion and the legend from the Kespa era, Jaedong, who has been in great form recently. Was once kind of well known for his ZVZ domination, a matchup that really wasn't dominated by any other
Mm,
Zerg player. Like, nobody has a great win rate in ZVZ. Even to this day, he's kind of the only guy who's ever achieved that level of success in ZVZ because of the nature of the matchup. It's very hard to consistently get wins, but he somehow manages to do it. We'll see if he can make it through today, if he can beat up on Queen and go up against Leta. I think both these guys are probably thinking, hey, I need to win here because Bess is waiting for me in the losers match. This is that much more important to get this win in CVZ.
yeah, maybe so. Although who knows, Leta could be really scary in his TVZ as well. I imagine he's definitely going to be on top of that matchup. The only matchup I haven't really had much faith in him is the mirror matchup TVT. I think he's pretty solid in those other two, but we'll see. As far as Jaedong's concerned, I think one of the things that made him so good in ZVZ was a few things. Like, one was his optimizations. It always seemed like, his lings were a few seconds ahead of schedule. I think he was one of the few gamers that understood some of the Zerg specific mineral optimizations you could have back in the day. And also, every time he had a lead, he would never concede a game. He would find a way of getting a small lead and then consolidate that lead to a victory pretty much every single time. There were games that he lost when he was behind, but if he did have an advantage, there was no way he was going to be dropping that game, which was why he was so dominant back in the day. Let's see if he can re-show up as the Tyrant once more. He's been playing fantastically recently. Going to be going up against Queen here. You can see Queen's statistics pretty impressive as well across the board. Plus 50%. Seriously impressive for that many games played in the ASL. Going to be a worthy contender for the Donger to kick things off. Although Queen did have a little bit of a hard time in his ZVZ matches in the Open ASL qualifier.
Yeah, he is a serious contender. Cannot take this guy lightly. He's one of those guys who could also, go deep in a tournament. Like, we could see him in a semifinal or a final coming up, depending on his current form. Not looking so hot with the overall win rate from Jaedong, only 38% in the ASL thus far. But, he really hasn't had great results in general in past ASLs. He's been struggling. He's been having a hard time.
Yeah.
But I've been feeling the resurgence here. I think he's managed to revive the Tyrant. Are we going to see it here today? That's the question.
I really hope so. So many fans will be disappointed if they see yet again Jaedong plays so good leading up to the ASL and then just can't perform when the time finally comes around. It does happen to a lot of players. They kind of like peak in their power level just before the main event, and then they, start to taper off a little bit. And every percentage point counts at the highest of level of play. Both players now getting ready in the booth. I have high hopes for Jaedong this season. I don't want to be let down as much as you guys, but anything can happen in this best of one format. We've seen it time and time again. Both players in the booth and ready. The ASL round of 24 Group F Match 2 Queen versus Jaedong on Octagon.
Queen spawning in the top right. Lee Jaedong in the bottom right. Getting into this one. Cross map. It's going to play a factor here. Let's see if either player wants to open with the hatch first. And whether anyone's feeling a little bit cheesy, a little cheeky. To go with an earlier pool or any sort of unorthodox play. Pretty risky to do unorthodox play in ZVZ.
Yeah.
There's very few different builds that you can actually pull off in professional play, and players are very good at figuring them out and countering them effectively.
Yeah, we did see it happen a few times. Like, that's how Sulky got eliminated after his 4-time champion run. Effort did a proxy hatchery that, you know, Sulky barely didn't scout with his Overlord. He actually could have seen the edge of the creep, but wasn't paying attention, and so ended up dropping that game. It does happen in the ASL when you do these weird plays, but it's not that. It's like the exception proves the rule kind of thing, right? Both players looking like they might be taking an expansion here. Could just be a 12 pull from one of them. Let's find out. Okay, no 12 pull. Looks like it is going to be a hatchery first from both players here. Interesting. And because it's cross map and both players doing an orthodox Overlord scout, not doing a reverse scout, this could be a very even game. Oh, actually, excuse me, Jaedong did throw down a pull first here. A bit of a delayed 12 pull. I think he made that at like close to like 250 or so minerals instead of 200. So I thought he was actually going to hatchery first.
Yeah, a little bit surprising. I thought he was going to go for a 12 hatch, you know, the greediest way to open CVZ. Most players are going to be doing an 11 hatch. It just allows you to get the links out tiny bit faster in case your opponent did something like a 9 pool. But going for a 12 pool with a gas and then a hatchery afterwards, this is a little bit unorthodox for Jaedong. We'll see how it ends up working out for him. He should be slightly behind Queen, who's done a more orthodox build.
Yeah, this is definitely a build order win for Queen going forward. There's no other way to slice it. And by the way, what is going on with their IDs? Like, Queen is registered as 0 in this tournament, yet he's using the Queen ID in game. Can we just stay on brand, guys? Like, what is it with them always like shifting up? Like, you don't see bands just randomly changing their names or something like that. Like, especially not when they're like just disbanding the group and starting their own groups or what have you. So yeah, I don't understand that. Like, 0 was his original ID though back in the day. Maybe he feels like he wants to register with that old pro gamer handle. I can kind of understand that, I guess, but it does get a bit confusing, especially for some of you newer guys in the chat. But okay, scouting link from Jaedong. He's not going to be able to really do much with this 12 pull, unfortunately. There's no real way of punishing what Queen is doing. Maybe the only thing is that if you get a lair before speed, maybe Queen feels like he has to make spores, and if you make spores, you could flood links and try and overwhelm on the ground. That's maybe one thing that Jaedong could do as a tactic. He's going to pressure nonetheless, but also needs to be careful not to get his links caught. Does have that speed finishing up ahead of time before Queen though, so going to see if he can outmaneuver him here in the natural.
This is a bit dangerous. Gets a run by, doesn't lose any links so far. One ling dies. Okay, a second one will fall as well. That's a little bit unfortunate for Jaedong. He will have to build a sunken colony back at home, by the way. There's no real choice here. You have to get that sunken colony because you're just going to be behind in larva overall. You'll be behind Queen here. So Jaedong, he gets his Spire started. It's about the same time Spire as Queen, so no hope of forcing spores out of Queen. Jaedong's actually skipping the sunken colony. This is kind of crazy. If you're behind in the hatchery production, your hatchery is later than your opponent. If they just build lings and just attack you, you will die in ZVZ.
Yeah, potentially. I guess it's cross maps. There's a few extra seconds added, and actually Queen going to be the one looking to be defensive here. Jaedong's made quite a few Zerglings of his own, and Queen did get a little bit greedy. He did squeeze out a couple of drones, so maybe Jaedong feeling like he can punish his. Sunken's on the way. He's on a clock to make this aggression happen. Beautiful concave from Queen as well, denying good surface area from Jaedong, but Jaedong will eventually overwhelm ever so slightly in the link count, but not enough. With the Sunken finishing up, it does tip the scales of power back towards Queen's favor. And Queen's Spire was ever so slightly faster than Jaedong's as well, because Jaedong went for that fast speed initially and didn't go straight into lair. Queen can also pull off some drones off the line to body block and make the trade even more go his way to deny the run by into the main base. and let the sunken colony do a lot of the heavy lifting here. Jaedong tries to pounce onto the mineral line, tries to snipe a drone, doesn't get it. Good drone movement from Queen. Jaedong tries to get a continuation play by chasing down that low HP drone with a pair of Zerglings, but doesn't find it.
This is a lot of lost links, man, and we're gonna have Mutas out here soon. Jaedong now behind, I think, in overall link count, and there's now Mutas on the field as well. This is looking a little bit rough. It's not like Jaedong can't win this game. He's actually got the gas guys are up a little bit faster than Queen, so he's gonna be able to sneak out maybe a few extra Scourge that could turn the tide of battle, but this is a little bit rough. He actually did manage to pull back all of his overlords, so keeping every overlord alive right now it's pretty impactful. Jaedong will be able to consolidate, try to sneak out a couple of drones here in the natural as well, get a few more Scourge out, and we're going to go into the next stage of the game. These guys are remarkably close despite the differences in builds here.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact that Jaedong, you know, forced a sunken out of Queen. He forced a little bit of lost mining time as well in the natural expansion. So does seem to even out when all things is said and done. And I think Jaedong was a little bit greedy in the second gas timing himself. He knew that he kind of had to take some risks in this game, which is why we saw no sunken, why we saw a fast second gas from Jaedong. It might pay off. He might actually be pretty toe-to-toe with Queen here. We see a 1 muta advantage for Queen, but Jaedong does have some Scourge. Scourge not only have the potential to snipe Mutalisks, but they zone out the other mutas from free firing and being able to micro down the Mutalisks of Jaedong. So if we get a good engagement where Jaedong can zone out the Mutalisks of Queen, force a retreat while getting some moving shots, things can escalate quickly. Both players at a relatively even Mutalisk count. There's still a slight advantage for Queen. Queen also made a couple of pairs of Scourge of himself so that he avoids a situation where he's the one zoned out only. He will now have the potential to do the same thing to Jaedong.
Ooh, it's really hard to tell who has the Mutalisk advantage right now, and if it's hard for us to tell, you know, it's hard, even harder for the players themselves to know. And this is the point in the game where you have very little scouting over your opponent. It's really hard to see what they're up to. One Ling managed to slip by for Queen into Jaedong's main, but Jaedong's coming over here. He's going to try to take this fight right now. It's super even on the overall Mutalisk count. I think 1 muta in advantage for Queen. There's some pretty good connections here on some of these Scourge, but it's really hard to tell underneath the bar here on the right-hand side. That's got to be a mistake there. I can't see anything. Oh my gosh, bunch of mutas going down here on either side, but it looks like Queen coming out ahead right now. More Scourge just arrive in the nick of time. Can he use those to back away? I guess so, but Jaedong at a very big risk of getting run down here in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, definitely Queen can intercept these Mutalisks. Jaedong might have to fake him out, and Queen actually just going to head across the map, trying to see if he can cut the Mutalisks off at the 6 o'clock base, but Jaedong didn't run back home with his mutas right away. He kind of like floated them up northward and then to the center, so he managed to avoid complete confrontation for the time being. Now he's going to try and pounce on Queen's mutas before the reinforcements arrive, but Queen shows up with 3 fresh mutas, but Jaedong has some Scourge as well, does pick off a Mutalisk of Queen. Suddenly Jaedong has the Mutalisk advantage. What is happening right now? He's actually winning the fight against Queen and forcing him back. The trade is going better for Jaedong now. Beautiful target firing from Jaedong as well, manually left clicking to find the low HP mutas and finishing them off. Here come a couple of pairs of Scourge from Queen. Good micro though from Jaedong, takes out one of those pair. Queen suddenly looks like he's tilting both literally and figuratively in his seat. He had a massive lead just a moment ago, and the Tyrant has clawed his way back in the game.
This is unbelievable. It looked like Jaedong was going to get tracked down in the bottom right, but he catches the muta as it pops out from the egg there, and he's done such a good job of maneuvering around these Scourge. Expert micro. Like, this is incredible play from Jaedong. One small mistake from Queen actually cost him this game. The fact that he went over and started attacking that Overlord with his small group of mutas while the others weren't quite there to assist just yet, rather than bringing them all together, Jaedong took full advantage of that. He dived on top of those mutas and he got the advantage. GG is called. Jaedong takes it home from a disadvantage. What a comeback.
I don't even know what to say about that. Like, Queen was just winning on paper. Like, everything was going well for him. He had a build order advantage. He won in the air to begin with. Had Jaedong in retreat. A bit of emotion there for Jaedong. He knew he was up against it. He had his muters basically stranded in the bottom right. If Queen had chased down those muters and finished them off, the game was effectively over. However, Jaedong kind of like managed to subvert Queen's expectations. Queen was like, okay, he's probably going to run these muters back to his base and consolidate. So he went to the 6 o'clock location to intercept, but Jaedong was like, hang on a minute, Queen's going to expect me to run back to my base. So I'm instead going to run northward and then to the center, start putting some damage onto an overlord, force Queen to engage me before the reinforcements arrive, and suddenly I'm the one with the tempo advantage. I don't even know what to say about that. Like, he basically created a win condition out of thin air while behind.
Yeah, Queen, a tiny moment of miscalculation there, right? He was chasing those mutas all around. He saw this overlord. He's like, "Oh, hey, I'll just kill this overlord here in the middle of the map." And then Jaedong was suddenly there with his reinforcements and the rest of his mutas that were running away at the time, and some Scourge as well. Dives on top of all of that and catches the reinforcements coming across the map as well. This was an incredible game, an incredible ZVZ, and a great way to start the season for Jaedong. Guys, we're going to a quick commercial break, just 7 minutes. Go grab a drink. We'll be right back. Next match here, it's going to be Jaedong versus Leta. That's coming right up. All right, here we go, guys. Leta versus Jaedong. Gonna be our winners match today. Not the match that I expected. Definitely not. But here we are. Leta pulling off a huge upset versus Best, and Jaedong a massive comeback. Lots of excitement so far in this group. Definitely, this thus far has not disappointed. What kind of game are we gonna get between these two? In the next one here. Are we going to be on Jane Doe? I think Jane Doe is a great map for Leta's style.
Yeah, yeah.
If he does get that map, I think it's going to be fantastic for him, and he might put out a really solid game versus Jaedong.
I think so. I also really would love to see something like a two-port Wraith at a later. It could really tax Jaedong and put him into a bit of an awkward situation and not let him play to his strengths. Definitely could see that occurring. And yeah, Jane Doe, such a good map for that style, since you can just wall off your ramp and take an expansion for free in the back pocket. And it is going to be Jane Doe. Oh my gosh, sparks could fly here in the round of 24 winners match. Group E between Leta and Jaedong, guys. Get ready. This is going to be a pretty epic showdown between these two, I imagine.
No, this is going to be crazy. I already have an idea of what kind of match this is going to be, but we'll see if Leta's even got more of a surprise for us. If he's got something really fantastic to pull out here, maybe something like a vulture drop or something crazy. Who knows? Guys, we're getting into it now. The winners match on Jane Doe. Let's get it started. Let's get it going. Jaedong spawning in the center right. Leta center left. Here he is on stage. What kind of stuff have you got for us today? I mean, Jaedong could also do something pretty crazy too, right? Like Jaedong could potentially go for like a 3 hatch before pool, something really nuts that can kind of punish someone who's going for a more teched out play. Can just assume that they're not going to do like an 8 racks or anything like that. That he wants that barracks for his high ground and not going to take any risks early. That is a possibility. However, I don't think Jaedong has to do anything crazy. I think he is really, really solid in this matchup, and he should be able to deal with any of the craziness. Jaedong, one of the best players, honestly, best Zerg players in the world at dealing with crazy, wacky games. Like when things get complicated and difficult, it feels like Jaedong thrives in that environment, basically more than anyone else.
Yeah, probably. Just like Jaedong maybe anticipating some kind of forward barracks here from Leta. He's got his Overlord coming across the map down towards the south. Maybe trying to see if he can sniff out any early game shenanigans here from Leta. Gonna be picking apart this Marine on the ramp as well, so he can take his hatchery on location, it seems. And Leta owning his barracks on the periphery of his main base as if it was like a TVT or something, and a quick gas from him as well. I wonder if this is definitely going to be some kind of like 1-1-1 play on one base, but it could also be that 2-port Wraith. It's just very unusual that he's building the barracks on the edge of his base like this. I'm really curious about the thought process.
So I think this could be like a fake out. So that Jaedong goes in the main. Like, I think it has two purposes, right? You could send an early drone and try to harass the barracks. So not having the barracks in that normal spot might kind of save him from some harassment. It looks like he's just gonna lift it off and float it out. Yeah, this is gonna really confuse Leta, or it's gonna really confuse Jaedong. However, you know, I don't think this is as tricky as Leta might be thinking it is, because he saw that there was no, or that the Marine hadn't been killed there on the ramp yet. So he knew that there was no SCV out on the map already.
Right.
And I think he just saw the barracks with the Overlord potentially. So this is kind of a weird decision from Leta. The big disadvantage to what Leta's doing here is that he doesn't have the full wall, which could end up being punished a little bit later.
This is very risky from Leta. Like, he's just straight up dead to something like a 9-pull. I actually don't think the Overlord saw the barracks. It was close, but I'm not convinced he actually saw it. So maybe trying to convince Jaedong that this is going to be some kind of really fast bunker rush with a lot of Marines behind it. And he will be coming with some Marines, but obviously not quite maybe in the same number that Jaedong may have been expecting. But Jaedong's not really flinched at this. Like, he's playing a pretty laid back style despite this early game shenanigans. He doesn't seem like he's phased. He's got a creep colony perfectly in time with the vulture after seeing the factory in the main base. If this was like a 10-10-10 build and you're building the factory out on the map, you need that creep colony immediately. But if it's a normal factory timing, 3 minutes 30 is perfect. Does get a bit of a wraparound on the first Marine with the drones, trying to buy some precious time for that Sun colony to finish. Intercepts the Marines from getting behind the minerals. That's a nice play from Jaedong. Here comes the vulture. Can he block the ramp? Yes, he does. Vulture goes down. Beautiful hold from the Tyrant Zerg there. Absolutely stellar stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there, and Jaedong managed to keep control. This is what I was talking about earlier. When things get messy, Jaedong is so good at performing in these difficult circumstances, and he holds on marvelously there. This drone could easily build a extractor and retain some health, but unfortunately he loses it to the building SCV. That's a little bit unfortunate there for Jaedong. Could have maybe delayed that even a little bit longer. However, overall, just that hold alone is going to be putting him into a good position. Leta goes for a 2-port Wraith follow-up. Not a surprise at all there. Leta, very well known for this style, and I think that Jaedong will be expecting it.
Yeah, it's slightly more macro-centric, right? Because you've got the expansion as well. This is not as early timed as it could have been. Definitely a viable strategy here. Will put a lot of pressure onto Jaedong while still setting himself up for a strong mid-game. And eventually you can get cloaked Wraiths as well. Oh, that's nice from Leta, actually picking off that drone before he could make a creep colony to save it. And now going to be getting an Overlord targeted down as well. And because of the style that Leta's gone for here, because he took a CC, Jaedong wasn't expecting too strong of a Wraith build out from Leta. So this could catch him off guard. Like, he might be anticipating one Wraith play, you know, off of like a 1-1-1 style, but he definitely isn't expecting 2-port Wraiths as a follow-up maybe.
I don't know. If you're not expecting 2-port Wraith playing against Leta, I don't know what world you're living in,
maybe
man.
You're
like,
right.
Doesn't matter what the game started off as. Like, this guy's gonna make 2 ports and he's gonna micro Wraiths. It's kind of his thing. So, Jaedong, I mean, he's coming across the map now. Does he have Overlord speed? That's kind of the key here, because if he makes Overlord speed right now and tries to go all in and like dive on top of turrets, that's one thing, but if he's not getting Overlord speed and he ends up, you know, getting run over by a bunch of Wraiths with Cloak, that could be really, really bad. I'm a bit worried for him right now. Does he really want to stick around here with these Wraiths so close and about to have that all-important Cloak upgrade? He's going to lose an Overlord over here as well. And the moment he loses this, we might see, yeah, immediate Cloak and dive on top of the mutas. You got to split here and run away. But Jaedong not doing that thus far. He's actually running to the Overlord. Gonna get a hit. It looks like he got one hit with a Scourge and a little bit of damage on one of these Wraiths with the muta, but not able to get any kills there. Leta hangs on for now. Still crazy that he's not walled that top of the ramp at all, so Lynx can still just run in, but he's hanging on for now.
Yeah, and going to be repairing up those Wraiths. One of them was dangerously low to going down after losing one. Not the best case scenario for Jaedong, has to be said, but with the Overlord in the center, he avoids total disaster here going forward. Loads of turrets from Leta. 3 turrets at each key location: the expansion, the main base, and the production line towards the ramp as well. So he's pretty sewed up tight against something like a 3-base all-in muta play from Jaedong to try and overwhelm Leta in this game. If he does identify that Jaedong's going for that style, he could also throw down an armory and maybe get out some Valkyries as a transition point, but it doesn't seem like he needs to. Seems like Jaedong playing reasonably standard off of these 3 bases for now, although we haven't gotten too many glimpses inside of his base to confirm that. Has got that overlord speed, finishing up. Looks like 9 Mutalisks on screen there. A pretty healthy count, but honestly, I have to favor Leta's position ever so slightly.
Well, Leta's going to be following this up with a Marine medic attack with the Wraiths kind of in support in the air. It's a pretty strong way to play, and it can have a pretty dangerous timing if the Zerg player's not on top of things. But it looks like Jaedong has his Lurker upgrade on the way. He's got that Hydra Den. Looks like he's got armor on the way here as well. Extra hatcheries coming down. Probably will end up playing like a Hydra Defiler style, but still a ways away from that hive. We'll be having Lurkers out here, I think, in time to deal with the attack from Leta, though.
Yeah, looks like he's going to make a Spore here in the back pocket as well to be safe against, or safer against Wraith raids. Has the +1 air carapace as well. Going to be helping him out in the trade against those cloaked Wraiths later. There will be a very strong bio transition from Leta, but it's going to be a little bit a ways off. So Jaedong does have some breathing room to get out Lurkers and maybe think about transitioning into that hive finally. He's got a healthy count of Mutas and a few Overlords tailing that pack as well. Hive just now started. This is shaping up to be a pretty interesting game. Not many people would go for this style that Leta is utilizing against Jaedong, but it is kind of his forte. His Wraith Micro is basically what he does best. The only other player that could even come close to him was someone like Light, and Leta was pretty much known as being the best Wraith user for a very long time. Good scans coming out from Leta as well to identify the tech path of Jaedong. He's even thrown down an additional macro hatchery, so he's going to have 5 hatcheries worth of production at least going forward on these 3 bases.
Yeah, Light, not very well known as a great Wraith user, but that's just because his normal play is so strong. He is very, very good with the Wraiths. I think Speed, another guy who's can pull off these Wraith plays as well, at almost the same caliber as Leta, but Leta is going to show us how it's done here with a ton of Wraiths together and this Marine medic. Going to start to push out one vessel to make sure that he doesn't walk into any Lurker or landmines. But Jaedong has a lot of Lurkers out now, and he's got some Scourge here too to potentially try and shut down this vessel. Let's see if he can get some good connections, if he can shut down this push, because it's kind of scary. Like these Wraiths and Marines are difficult to deal with before you have something like Defiler out.
Ooh, the Science Vessel not quite in position. These are hold position Lurkers, and he pounces on these Marines. Leta's movement a little bit off kilter there. Didn't quite identify those Lurkers quick enough, but it's still a reasonable shutdown. Did trade off a few of those bio units. Jaedong was hoping on catching the bio completely off guard, but had to pull the trigger early since the Science Vessel was in position. Beautiful snipes on these Overlords, just absolutely eviscerating them with a volley of Gemini missiles. When you've got 11 Wraiths, you're doing 220 alpha damage, so even with the Flyer Carapace, you can start one-shotting Overlords. Kind of insane. And yeah, that's going to put a lot of pressure onto Jaedong. He's now supply blocks. There's 5 Lurkers here burrowed in the natural expansion, so Leta probably not going to break him, but he is going to chip away at the defenses of Jaedong and pick off more and more of these Overlords in the meanwhile.
I'm surprised Jaedong left his Overlords over to the side like that. Oh my gosh, not paying attention for a second there. Jaedong does pull out that irradiated Mutalisk in pretty good time, though, avoiding the majority of the damage, and he may be getting those Hydra upgrades here online pretty soon. Hydras and Mutas here in the main base to defend. I think there's a Spore as well. There's a Spore definitely in that back base, but a lot of Overlords here right for the picking. 2 Overlords go down immediately, diving on top of this stuff, but not able to get any kills on these Wraiths. Some great control from Leta overall, just getting a little bit more damage here and there. and slowing down Jaedong as he attempts this transition.
Yeah, at least he's picked off a couple of those Wraiths, so they're no longer one-shotting the Overlords, but, you know, he's still going to be killing a fair few of them. Another Radiate coming down onto that Mutaclum. Decent pull from Jaedong to get rid of some of that splash damage, but he eats a lot of Gemini missiles to those Mutas regardless, so overall, still sustaining so much damage. Has got a trio of Defilers to start pushing out onto the map and create some space for himself. Try and put Leta on the back foot a little bit here, but Leta's got the third base set up. He's got some tank production as well. This is okay from Jaedong, but it's not great yet. He's going to try and run it down and push Leta all the way back to this ridge. It's definitely the kind of thing you need to do in this situation. You need to push the Terran all the way back and also set yourself up for a potential win condition by getting Defilers in the Terran's natural. But with the tanks out, no longer as easily successful for Jaedong going forward. +2 weapons on these bar units, just +1 ground armor for the Hydras and Lurkers for the time being. Finally, with the +1 missile weapons finishing up as well. So the Hydra Defiler style has a little bit more punching power.
There should be Plague finishing up here soon as well. That Plague upgrade is going to be a massive swing. The big clump of Wraiths and Bio are going to be easy pickings for this Plague when it comes out. There's the first Plague. Goes down right on the Wraith. Second Plague on all the Marines. Oh my goodness, so much damage here. Hydras are going to be ripping this army apart. Dude, Leta just allowing everything to walk forward here and get obliterated, and now he's going to lose some vessels as well.
Ooh, probably one of the best case scenarios there for Jaedong, just mopping everything up. Maybe he didn't need to Plague the Wraiths there. There wasn't that many left, but it's still a good way of just shutting down the utility available to Leta in this game. He does have a healthy tank count. He will be trying to take the 4th base in that top left pocket expansion. Has a total of 5 vessels available to him. Jaedong gaining ground at the front line though. Gonna see if he can shove it forward a little bit and get on top of these units. Tanks don't do any damage to Lurkers when they're burrowed underneath the Dark Swarm. He soaks up some of the damage of his other units to get the Lurkers in position. He's gonna start targeting down the tanks now with the Hydras, forcing them back as well. This is getting a little bit of a sticky situation from Leta. He's trying to stop Jaedong by keeping a small contingency of Bio at the high ground natural 4th expansion and stop Jaedong completely running him over by keeping some Marines in the back line to wrap around Jaedong and prevent him from going for a kill move just yet. But looks like Jaedong is looking to make more progress at running it down.
Yeah, he's pulling the trigger again here. It's starting to be a little bit ill-advised, like pushing this far forward. Might end up kind of working against him here. Just setting up another Dark Swarm in the front. Keep these Plagues rolling while getting into that 4th gas. Which is going to be the most important thing. Getting that 4th gas online in the bottom right is what Jaedong needs to do. Ending the game right now is very difficult with so many tanks being made and such a long rally distance to the front. But he is going to continue to push forward a little bit by little bit. Another Dark Swarm at the front. Lurkers have been irradiated, and actually a lot of fire bats have been made. So, you know, Leta doing the right thing, making sure that he has the potential splash damage to shut that down. If it does get too close, huge Bioforce gets knocked down here by a very small contingent of Jaedong's forces. Just not paying attention at that moment was Leta. And now moving around the bottom side of the map with some dropships. There's nothing to spot this for Jaedong. Jaedong, big hole in his vision at the bottom side of the map. And he may end up losing that bottom right-hand base. I mean, does he have a Nidus down there? That's a big question right now.
He doesn't. He doesn't. This is going to be pretty devastating for Jaedong. And the Overlord not quite in range to spot that expansion in the top left either. This drop is going to do so much damage for Leta. And the fact that the Overlord is not quite in position to spot that 4th base from Leta might be really problematic for Jaedong. He gets a beautiful Plague on some of the forces in the front line, but losing that expansion hurts so much. He is taking another 4th base towards that high ground. Does manage to kill a few vessels with Scourge, and now one of the dropships in the bottom right. So this isn't terrible for Jaedong, but this is working out better and better for Leta. The fact that he hasn't spotted this base in the top left and Leta's getting some extra juice, a bit of extra gas from it, is really going to hurt him. Finally, he spots it, but Leta's already moving into position to cover that base.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Killing off the 4th base is one thing, but keeping that base in top left alive as well is massive. And he's going to get a couple of good irradiates here to deal with this small contingent of army. Hydra's moving up to high ground, though. So much of this has been plagued. He actually might break this base. Leta going to be okay, though, going down to 3 bases for a little bit. Considering that Jaedong is in the same place as him.
Yeah, the fact that Leta killed that expansion in the bottom right doesn't phase Leta too much. He's actually going to see if he can resecure this ledge towards the center. Jaedong pouncing on it, though, killing so many of Leta's tanks, maybe overstepping himself ever so slightly, and another play goes down on the back row of tanks. Does lose that CC in the top left in the end. What a crazy back and forth game. Jaedong desperately needs to get this 4th gas mining again. He's just now doing it, and he's going to run it down on these tanks yet again. Oh my gosh, Leta has lost so much of his punching power with all these tanks falling like this. He's actually now the one that's going to be in trouble. He is going to try and get some counter damage, though. He's got a couple of dropships making their way to that bottom right expansion yet again to shut it down, but I'm not sure it matters. After killing that many tanks, I'm liking Jaedong's position.
Hey, we just saw Jaedong plague his own Hydras there by accident. I'm sure he was, you know, the level of control he's showing right now is insane. Like, the way that he's controlling the Defilers in this game is nuts. He's just got Defilers absolutely everywhere. But when I say everywhere, not everywhere. Only in the spots where he needs them. Only at the exact times when he needs them. And he's just getting those spells off so consistently that Leta's having a really hard time now. Drop going around to the top side. Looks like it might deny the base over at top center, but Jaedong can get over here, potentially set up another base in bottom right. He's going to look to do that now, try to secure that. At the same time, continuing to push forward, continuing to get more great plagues, and keep Leta on the back foot, under threat of his natural being broken, and that's exactly where Jaedong wants him to be.
Yeah, one of the lifelines for Leta is just churning out irradiates with those vessels, but at least 4 of them will be going down to being one-shot by some Hydras or Mutas, so if Jaedong can get the snipes on those, it's going to be huge. You can see the Mutas now moving to the front line. He desperately needs to actually get the killing move on some of those vessels. That's really the last lifeline of Leta to trade cost efficiently in these situations. With Jaedong laying siege at his front door like this, there's still a little small contingent of bio towards that 12 o'clock base. I think Jaedong is happy to take this bottom right expansion for the time being. He doesn't really need additional bases, and he's actually going to set up a plague on those bio units at the 12 o'clock position. Like you were saying, just defilers everywhere where they need to be, and utilizing them to perfection here is the Tyrant. Later starting to try and move out from that front door location to push Jaedong a little bit back.
Yeah, +3 armor is online now. And so Jaedong is going to be trading at absolute maximum capacity at the best efficiency he can. And a few of those mutas do go down. It's pretty good control from Leta to deny the mutas getting on top of some of those plague vessels. You said it perfectly there, Xun, that those are his last lifeline in this game. And as soon as he starts to lose those vessels, he's really going to start to fall apart. Diving on top of all of these plague marines right now with all the Hydras, and the vessels are not far behind them. Starts to track some of those down. The tanks out here are a little bit exposed now. Hydras are going to run right up and start to gun those down. And there's still a Dark Swarm here. It's about to run out, but he utilizes the very tail end of this Dark Swarm to get a few extra tank kills and just keep that count as low as possible. Only 4 tanks here, and you can see these bases are starting to run very low for Leta.
Yeah, he's got literally just 1 base worth of mining. He can't really sustain for too much longer. Jaedong will be drying up himself But because of the nature of the Zerg saturation being far more spread out than the Terran, he's going to have these additional bases mining for longer. There's going to be a period where Jaedong's on 4 bases economy to just the single expansion of Leta. That's a massive tempo swing going towards Jaedong in production. Leta has to be so cost efficient with these science vessels in conjunction with the tanks to make this work. He can still do it, but it's definitely a tall order. Jaedong in position to pounce from behind as Leta sets up this 4th base on the high ground here. His army is out of position, so Jaedong is actually running it down on the rally point while Leta's out of position. The science vessels come up to respond. Has to be careful. 2 of them could be one-shot by some of these Hydras, and looks like Jaedong is going to go after this mining expansion from Leta. There's not much here to shut this down. He's target firing the CC. It's getting lower and lower. It does explode, Saiyan. Now Leta back to just 1 base worth of mining. He's in a lot of trouble. He's trying to do some counter damage, trying to force his army across the other side of the map behind enemy lines and see if he can get on top of some of Jaedong's expansions and cripple his own economy to try and even things out.
He's going to run up here, might be able to kill quite a few drones, but the problem still remains. Leta on only 1 base, and it's a precarious position at that 1 base indeed. Like, there are forces in between him and that base, and a lurker here is just doing so much damage. It's not really killing much. Now it's killing a few SCVs here and there, but it's mostly SCVs running past and just kind of taking a little bit of splash damage here and there. And so Leta is going to keep mining off of that base and his natural get that CC reestablished, but Jaedong is just bursting ahead now in supply. He's going to collapse on some of these reinforcements that are trying to make their way out to that 3rd base. Tanks all go down very, very quickly, and now some of the vessels are really starting to fall. That last lifeline from Leta is starting to be swept away.
Yeah, this is becoming more and more untenable for Leta as the seconds tick by. The Tyrant looks like he's back at full steam. You can see Leta's screen is actually shaking from how intensely he's playing to try and cling on to this position. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. Jaedong now making his way into the 4th base location with a beautiful Dark Swarm, gunning down all of the siege tanks. G is called, and Jaedong is breaking his way into the round of 16 in style with a beautiful comeback against Queen, pulling a win condition out of thin air and showing a relentless onslaught against Leta. Despite the really fantastically good Wraith control in the early game, Jaedong is just too much to handle. The Tyrant is back.
Indeed, he is. Xun, this guy has been looking fantastic going into the season, and that was a great game. Actually, both the games today, absolutely mesmerizing here. Jaedong back in his full force, his full level from the Kespa era. That is something to behold. And he's looking ready to take on Flash, man. Like, this dude is laser focused and looking for that ultimate weapon, man. He wants to show him a thing or two for all the times that he lost to him in those old Kespa era seasons. Like, this guy was, you know, if it wasn't for Flash, we would be talking about Jaedong being the greatest gamer of all time, right? Like, this guy still took away so many tournaments despite being sometimes overshadowed by Flash.
Well, he's been a very worthy rival to Flash, and the games between them, Jaedong and Flash, that is, honestly, some of the best games we've ever seen in StarCraft, just straight up. Like, it's insane. There's been times where Jaedong managed to beat Flash on Terran-favored maps by just, you know, being quite literally everywhere, just overwhelming Flash. Despite Flash's god-tier Terran play, he can still manage it. I'm super impressed with his performance today in the ASL, and I expect him to do well in the future rounds as well. I don't think this guy is necessarily going to have a disappointing performance in the round of 16 or something like that. I can really see Jaedong, at least in the round of 8, with this level of play. I mean, so spectacular. Like, it looked like all hope was lost in that first match against Queen. It was like, okay, Queen is just ahead in every metric. He's got a build order win. He completely won the air battle initially, has Jaedong's mutas stranded in the bottom right, And Queen kind of just got a little bit sloppy, a little bit ahead of himself, and was like, okay, I'll just go back to my macro cycles. I'll intercept the mutas heading back home, and I'll be fine. And Jaedong was like, no, I'm going to run my mutas in a direction you don't expect. I'm going to go back north with my mutas and go to the center and take a tempo lead over you, force you to engage me while I'm picking off an Overlord just before your reinforcements arrive. And I've popped out a few Scourge, and I should be able to win this follow-up fight. I don't even know how you manage to think like that in those high-octane situations. ZVZ is so stressful, but this guy has like a psychopathic stare, a laser focus that is unparalleled from most of these guys. The only kind of intensity I see similar to Jaedong is maybe someone like Light. Even Light's laser focus seems more relaxed rather than, I'm here to kill you.
Leta played a great set of games as well, man. His win over Best was something spectacular, but this match versus Jaedong just did not give him an inch. Everything was dealt with to near perfection. The Vulture run by the early Marines. He handled everything with the absolute bare minimum and made no mistakes there. Uh, got himself into a reasonable position and just never let go of the game, even though Leta was being so annoying with the race, killing off a ton of overlords and
Mm.
putting a lot of pressure on him. He just never stopped, never gave an inch, and takes this one home. A great story here from Jaedong as he comes back at a higher level than we've seen him for many, many years. In fact, like the entire ASL, uh, all the seasons, all 20 seasons up until this point, he's looked a little bit lackluster. But this season, I'm really feeling Jaedong, man.
Yeah.
I want to say that this guy is like he's looking like the favorite for this season, in my opinion.
No, I can kind of see that, and a little bit of emotion for him. And just so you guys know, this is not us blowing smoke. Even Soma himself was watching Jaedong's performance in the Pro League, investigating statistics and being like, guys, what is going on with Jaedong? I don't think I can hold a candle to this guy. Soma, the previous ASL tournament champion, and quite honestly regarded the best Zerg on the planet, at least recently, was saying that actually I think Jaedong's way better than me. Like, what does that tell you? It's kind of crazy. We've got another great match coming up for you. We've had some pretty crazy, spectacular shows from these two gamers in the past where all looked lost for Best, and he has some crazy comeback potential in this matchup, especially against Queen. That's going to be the next game today. The Group F losers match between Queen and Best. Don't go anywhere.
All right, boys, we're back. It's time for the losers match. Best versus Queen. Again, wasn't expecting this as the losers match, but here we are. The two-time ASL champion Queen going up against Best. Uh, Guy who's still searching for his first championship, but it's been looking like he's on the path to getting there. Has had some difficulties, some ups and downs, as all players do, but his level has been looking better and better, and I'm just shocked that he got taken out by Leta, man. I'm still a little bit surprised that that ended up happening that way, but you know what? Best, if he wins here, he takes out Queen, maybe he can get a shot at a rematch, and we'll see a real game between him and Leta.
It's very possible, guys. And we're jumping right into it. The ASL Season 21 Group F losers match between Queen and Best on Jane Doe. Let's get it started.
All right, Queen over here at the center left, Best at the center right. And just to clarify what I was saying, I didn't mean that that wasn't a real game from before. I'm just saying a real rematch between Best and Leta. Leta played an absolutely fantastic game in that first one, but here we are. Jane Doe once again.
Yeah, it wasn't
a really fun map for PvT. Or PvZ, excuse me.
Yeah, PvZ on this map is crazy. Like, quite literally, so many things can happen. One of the main differences from a lot of the other maps is the Protoss can get away with such optimized styles. You don't even have to make a forge and cannons for quite some time. That's the main thing. You know, not having to throw down a forge and initial cannons. That's saving you 300 plus minerals at least. So, you know, you can get an earlier Nexus. You can be a little bit greedier, get your tech online faster. We've even seen like Zerg sometimes do like a one base Spire build against Protoss players on this map. It's probably not going to happen here from Queen, but we'll see. He's actually checking for proxies. He's, you know, covering all bases, making sure there's not going to be something cheeky out of Best and, you know, throwing him off guard with a fast double gate or something here at the... Whoa! Oh. Whoa! Okay, Queen.
What?
Queen ain't playing around. He's gonna basically do an all-in Ling build and try and bust the ramp. So he knows there's no early cannons and forge, which means he's gonna drone drill the ramp and try and get a kill on Best very early on here.
Well, this is crazy, but you know what? Nexus First is kind of normal on this map. It's not super crazy to go for a Nexus First here. And yeah, like you said, probably going to be delaying cannons at the very least. But Best went for a gate first. And, you know, we've seen quite a bit of Zerg players, not this style of with the hatchery out on the map, but going for like a Ling bust on this map and trying to make that work. I think it's kind of bad, actually. I really don't think it's good. We've seen so many players try it and get shut down because the ability of Protoss right now to pull and send workers to the ramp and just drill the ramp, it's so hard to deal with. It's so hard to make a Ling bus work right now because Protoss will just not allow you to get up that ramp with the probe drill.
There's some mind games from Queen as well. Like he delayed hitting the medic until the probe was about to arrive, and then he started hitting it, making it seem like he wanted to come down here to expand quickly. Now he's hiding the Lings. He's trying to sell Best a false bill of goods, like he wants to come down here and expand very quickly, but he actually doesn't. So a lot of mind game tactics, and the Zealot's actually retreating. I think Best may be figuring out something's not quite right about this, and that's actually going to help him out a lot if he doesn't lose this first Zealot. Queen is kind of hoping that Best commits with this Zealot and he can gobble it up with the initial pack of Lings, and that will put Best on a bigger back foot going forward and make it easier to bowl him over. Best must be having alarm bells going off in his head, but he doesn't know for sure. Here comes the Overlord now. That needs to be inside the main base for Queen. That needs to be able to see the mineral patches so that he could send a drone to glitch out the Zealots on the ramp. That's an ideal situation for him. He doesn't have to do that. He could still just try and run it down with pure links, but if you can get a drone drill on that ramp, it's insanely effective if there are Zealots blocking it. Speed just kicked in. Best now knows there's aggression coming his way, but can he calculate that there's a possibility of a second hatchery making a ton of Zerglings as well? He might not have factored that in. Here comes Queen hitting the front door, taking the medic down very quickly. Probes coming off the line to defend.
Yeah, probes are off the line to defend. A Dragoon is out right now. He's got to get that to the front line. Start to deal some damage with it. Pulling the Zealots back just a little bit. Getting it into a better and better position. A lot of probes have been pulled here, but he actually needs to pull even more. You can't allow any of these lings inside the main base. Good target fire so far from Queen. Man, this Dragoon is really going to cost best in this game. The Dragoon is not what you want right now. He's targeting it down. Zealot pops out. It gets surrounded. It's going to be killed. No way! Best is going to get killed by this. Oh my God.
Kidding me, Saiyan?
Oh.
This is so cheeky. It's so aggressive from Queen to go for this style of strategy. The Dragoon is so low HP. He's killing the pylon. There's not even going to be an additional Zealot made. Oh my gosh. What a disaster for Best to be taken out in this fashion. I really feel for him, man. That was such a cheeky play from Queen. And he did kind of convince him that there was nothing untoward happening by making it seem like he wanted to break down his own ramp to expand. And Best maybe feeling there was something weird going on, but he certainly wasn't calculating a proxy hatchery worth of lings being pulled there for Queen. And he made the Dragoon to try and punish the Overlord that was going deep into the base. He didn't know that Queen was going to be busting him like that. And unfortunately, that was just a perfectly executed cheese from Queen, it has to be said. And Best is out of the tournament. I mean, what is happening? I feel so bad for him. Like, the game against Leta was so unfortunate that he got absolutely bullied in the late game because of the early game disruption to his economy from the vulture drop. And now he loses like this to Queen. It doesn't feel like there's any justice in the world, Saiyan, but you can't take anything away from Queen. That was a really well executed cheese, and he did a great job of mind gaming Best with that drone on the ramp.
My Queen doesn't even look happy about that game. He's like looking off to the side. He feels dirty. Yeah, need to go have a shower after this day of ASL. Man, knocking Best out like that. Oof, that is rough. I hate to see him go down in such a fashion, but he is out of the tournament, guys. Best is gone. We're going to go to a 7-minute break. When we get back, Queen versus Leta for that final match. Don't go away. All right, guys, we are here for the final match now. Welcome back, everybody. Queen versus Leta. The surprise final match for basically everyone. I mean, who would have thought Leta would have played this good today?
Yeah.
Pretty much a shock. Um, Shocking also that Queen pulled out that crazy build. He didn't seem that confident going into the match, though. It seemed like he was feeling a little bit like maybe he couldn't take best on in a regular match.
Right.
That was gonna be a crazy one. I feel like we got robbed, honestly, Shun. And I'm sure that Best is feeling like he got robbed too.
Yeah.
Like that was supposed to be an insanely epic match on Jane Doe, and we ended up getting just a crazy rush, which is cool, but like I was expecting a 30-minute,
Right.
epic PVZ on that map, and now we're here going directly into Queen versus Leta. How
Yeah.
are you, what are you feeling like, Shun?
I'm feeling like I want Leta to win now. I'm sure even Queen feel like he was robbing Best in that match. It was like he was on a losing streak and ladder, like I was saying to you off air, and he just wanted to get a quick win under his belt. Here we go, though. The ASL Season 20 Group F final match. Queen versus Leta on Polestar. Strap in. Let's get it started, guys.
Okay, Queen in the bottom left, Leta in bottom right, and honestly, the way that Leta's been playing, he could win this. He for sure could take on Queen here and
Oh, yeah.
get into the round of 16 for the first time. That would open up another potential for like a first pick in the round of 16. Like we've got quite a few underdogs making their way through, and Leta would be just one more.
Yeah, there was a Queen fan there, literally praying for him. I think he definitely needs some prayers because he's not been feeling it this group. Honestly, he did just like cheese out a win over Best, and now he has a lifeline still in this group to see if he can take the fight to later. It's gonna be close spawns on the bottom side of the map and Polestar. Leta's no easy challenger though. Like we saw what happened with Jaedong. Like I can imagine someone like Queen faltering and getting overwhelmed by the oppression of that micro that Leta is able to display. And wouldn't it be fantastic if there was another underdog story where Leta comes back to the scene from the depths and actually breaks into the round of 16 all of a sudden? He's struggled with that in the past. He's usually getting knocked out in the round of 24 whenever he does show up in the ASL previously. And yeah, it was a long time ago, man. Like 5 seasons ago he was here and getting knocked out. Maybe if he can break through to the round of 16, we're going to be seeing a pretty big celebration from him as well.
Yeah, that'll be a huge moment for his career as a whole. Possibly a crowning achievement. We'll see how he develops in the future, but Leta here going to be starting out with a wall in and going into that gas. That's kind of how I expected him to play, even in that game versus Jaedong, to get the wall in right away. This time he is going to be going for it, and we may end up seeing two-port Wraith from him again. Maybe this time just an even faster two-port Wraith without the Vulture shenanigans in the beginning.
Yeah, well, not really a walling, just a barracks towards the ramp, but definitely different from that game against Jaedong where he tried to float the racks out. Bit of a deviation, but we'll be looking to throw down that factory. Really nice optimized build here from Leta. He got a 227 factory. Really good from him. Definitely on point today with his execution. This guy must have really been brushing up on his play and playing an insane amount of games to be displaying this caliber of play in this group F of the round of 24. Would be super sick to see him in the round of 16. I don't think he's getting out. I can't imagine Leta in the round of 8, but it would be fun to have him around for the round of 16 to showcase some different style of Terran play. Going to be putting a bunker down against the hatchery first build here of Queen. Marine following closely behind. Going to bully back those drones and force a little bit of lost mining time for Queen at the bare minimum. Pair of Zerglings will stop the bunker being produced though, so it's not the worst case scenario here for Queen.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine here. Where's the second starport? I think it's gonna be thrown down here in just a second. Two-port Wraith? I don't see it just yet.
He almost
Maybe
has the
he wants
gas.
to make a vulture. Ooh, running into the natural. 3 drones. Oh my goodness, 3 drones is crazy. That's so much damage, actually, where
Yeah.
he really shouldn't have been able to get anything. Coming off the line there with the drones to try and block Leta from getting behind the mineral patch. At least he's not going to lose mining time, but man, that really hurts to lose 3 drones after kind of holding that properly at the, to start.
Yeah, and this isn't a 2-pot Wraith. He is going to be throwing down a CC. This is just going to be a 1-1-1 build at a later. I'm not too surprised to see it. I did kind of expect him to do this in one of his games here today. I didn't expect to see a 2-pot Wraith every single time. I thought it was possible he could be doing something similar like this against Jaedong, just knowing how strong Jaedong is at dealing with early game shenanigans. We'll see though what he's got planned here as a follow-up. He could still throw down a second starport if he wanted to, and there it is there. Okay, so he is actually going to be doing a 2-pot Wraith build yet again. He is not interested in playing anything that's remotely middle of the road. He really wants to double down on his forte and set up for another cloaked Wraith style.
I like it. I mean, you've only got 1 game to show your stuff, so might as well do the absolute best build that you have, the one that you're the most confident with, that you find the most reliable. So he's going to be going for that 2-port Wraith again. A bit of a delayed second port, but it's not too bad. Oh, gets a drone kill like he did against Jaedong as well. There's going to be some Mutalisk popping out here in a second. He doesn't want to get caught in the main base when those skirts start to pop. So he's going to make his way back to the natural and see if he can't get a little bit more harassment going. Will just bail out here and has a cloak on the way. We'll see what how Queen reacts to this. Does he want to go directly into a quick Hydralisk Den? Is he going to get immediate Overlord speed and try to break him with 2 base, 2 hatch Mutalisk? Or maybe he's got something else in mind.
Yeah, well, that's something to consider, because unlike that game on Jane Doe, Queen is not going to have an early 3rd gas to utilize against this build. Does limit your possible range of play ever so slightly. He has got 3 hatchery production, but with only those 2 gases, it's a little bit tight, you know, to get the Overlord speed which you need and to also do non-stop Mutalisk production. It's a big ask. You can't really do both. You're going to have to sandbag your production at least a little bit, which takes away some of the possible tempo going for an aggressive play. You can still do it. Sometimes it'll catch the Terran off guard if they slack on their turret production or what have you. I don't think Leta's going to make that mistake necessarily. Against Jaedong, he built 3 turrets at all 3 locations, and he's setting up to do that now, gradually adding on 1 turret at a time, as you can see here. Has an SCV blocked behind the mineral line as well to micro those Wraiths, since obviously he doesn't have anything like an Overlord to do it like Queen does. This could be a really good game for Leta. The fact that Queen's on a much lower economy than Jaedong was, and Leta made a pretty tight game out of that situation. Who knows? He might be able to absolutely outplay Queen here.
Wow, kind of looks like Queen's going to go toe-to-toe with Leta in the air. Seems kind of crazy to opt into a play like this. Like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and fight the best Wraith player in the business toe-to-toe with my mutas. Let's see how it goes for him. He's gonna dive in. There's the cloak. Lings run by here. Bunker's not gonna be finishing up, it looks like. Run by into the main base actually with the Lings. He's just gonna try to kill turrets. That's the plan here. Just kill as many turrets as he can. Trying to drag the attention away from Leta as he dives on the turrets in the natural. This is some great multitasking from Queen and really good decision making here to just keep him busy there in the main. But now the Lings have been cleared. What's the next stage of this attack? Does Queen really want to dive in here with the Overlords? You can just right-click the Overlords into the base and try to keep diving, but the rates are slightly faster than the Overlords. So as long as he stays out of range of that, you're not going to be able to dive fully. Now diving right in here, Lings come in, try to surround this bunker. He's jumping on top of the race, but they are cloaking. Overlord's right on top of everything. He's got the detection here,
wow.
but suddenly those go down, and now he's going to be chasing down every single Mutalisk.
Wow, really great preemptive repair on that bunker from Leta as well to stabilize against his aggression from Queen. Queen's in a lot of trouble, and he knows it. Looking a little bit flustered in the booth there. He is out of this tournament. GG is called, and Leta, for the first time, breaking through to the round of 16, showing up out of nowhere and taking this group by storm, getting a big upset in number one. Getting a big upset in that game number one against Best, and now eliminating Queen. You could almost call that karmic justice from that dirty, cheesy win on Jane Doe from Queen. And look at the emotional elation from Leta. Yeah, definitely all eyes on this man at the moment. It's been a long time coming. This guy was dominant back in 2008. One of the top 4 players on the planet. It's been a long time since he was in the scene and performing at this caliber. He's always been in the background, not really competing that often. Has showed up to, you know, K-League and Pro Leagues occasionally in the past, but not really performing on stage like this since season 16, where he got knocked out in the round of 24 again. So this must be a huge accolade for him to, after such a early peak in his career, now in 2026, coming back with style to knock out some of the best players on the planet. Wow.
Yeah, dude, Queen, what is up with him, man? It's hard to put into words the ridiculousness of the situation. Like, Queen, why did he choose to go toe to toe with Leta when he was feeling off? You could tell that he was feeling a bit off in this series. I think since he lost to Jaedong there, he didn't seem very happy. He decided to just go for like a crazy all-in, just hoping that he could beat Best, and he honestly didn't even seem happy about that win. And now here versus Leta, diving in with mutas like that and just getting completely routed. Man, honestly, I'm more disappointed in Queen than I am in Best. That's my personal feeling, but I'm really disappointed that Best didn't make it out.
I'm like the other way around. I'm a little bit more disappointed in Best not being through to the next round. We've got slightly differing opinions on Queen. I'm more of the school of thought that Queen has just looked a little bit lackluster in general recently, and I don't think he's over his mental state at all. I feel like ever since his ego took a massive hit of being humiliated by BCM in the qualifiers previously. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, BCM is an A-rank ladder player that always cheeses in TVZ, and Queen lost to him and kind of got shaken up mentally ever since, and hasn't fully recovered. He has had moments of greatness. He has been playing reasonably well in some of his games as of late, which is why Saiyan had a higher hoping for him here today. But I was kind of in the school of thought that, no, actually Queen's going to be struggling in this group. I watched some of his qualifier games. He looked terrible in ZVZ. I'm just going to call it bluntly. He looked really shaky, and I had no hopes of him beating Jaedong, but he was in a fantastic position. He had a build order win. He won the first air battle. He just couldn't close the game out. He kind of got bamboozled by Jaedong trying to hunt down those Mutalisks en route back to Jaedong's base, and actually Jaedong taking a bit of a surprise turn, rerouting those Mutalisks back to the north, going to the center and taking a tempo advantage by forcing a fight of the Overlord just before the reinforcements could consolidate for Queen. And ever since that game, I feel like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy for Queen, realizing, oh yeah, I'm back to my usual self of not performing. And he seemed really defeated from that point onwards. Even had his hands wrapped around his neck and bowing his head just prior to that game against Best. Seemed like he didn't really have any belief in himself in this group. And you can see just how ecstatic Leta is there. Looks like he's literally glowing at the moment. I'm sure he can't even believe that this is where he's at in 2026, coming back and taking the scene by storm like this.
Leta played a great set of games. Great to have another underdog make it through in the round of 24. That's just how volatile it is when you're playing best of ones. Players like Leta could have a huge upset like that and make their way through, but it's going to be a whole different story in the round of 16, guys. Round of 16 is going to be coming up here very soon. I'm not sure if we're even going to be taking a break in between the round of 24 and the round of 16 or not. I think we're going to be getting the schedule either after this broadcast or during the group's selection ceremony, which is going to be on April 6th. We're not going to be broadcasting that, guys. If you want to watch that, definitely recommend checking it out from Tasteosis after. It's probably going to come out like 3 or 4 days after the actual group selection stage comes out, and then they've got the whole translated version of it as well. So that should be interesting. I feel like Leta's one of those guys who's going to get picked very early on. Him along with Amples and Amples, Ample, and a couple of others. Probably YSC as well.
Mm.
Piano is going to be on the chopping block also, but lots of good targets here coming out of the round of 24 because there have been so many upsets.
Yeah, we've had 4 pretty beautiful underdog stories with those players you just mentioned. Kind of exciting stuff. I mean, sometimes you do expect, like, 1 or 2 major upsets in the round of 24 just because of the best of one format, how crazy it can be. But having four players make it out like that with some pretty great stories behind them as well, I don't think I could have hoped for more. Really happy for these guys, and what a great set of games we've had to start off the tournament in the round of 24. I'm sure you guys are as stoked as we are to get into the round of 16, especially with the likes of Jaedong and Flash gonna be there as well. It will be Soma's first pick there. It was a bit of speculation we had earlier where I was saying, it might not be a bad idea for Soma to pick someone like Flash and then swap him. We'll see what happens. You guys can go check out the group selection ceremony and enjoy that little charade as the players kind of banter and try and mislead the other players about what their intentions actually are and what have you. Getting a bit of a look on screen now about what the round of 16 is going to look like. We got 9 Terrans, 4 Protoss, 3 Zerg. I don't think Barracks is, despite being the seed here, is going to be playing as good as some of these other Terrans, but nice to have him around as well. Not that many hopes for the Protoss and Zerg. This could be a season where we don't see a Zerg victor. Soma, Hero, Jaedong, though, 3 stellar Zerg players. Snow, Bisu, Rain, YSC. That's not a bad lineup as well. Still possible for that squad on both sides to still get a win here in the ASL. I don't necessarily mind who wins this tournament as long as it's maybe a Protoss or a Terran. We've had a lot of Zerg champions. It would be pretty fantastic to finally get a Terran or a Protoss winning it.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome for sure. Um, I'm curious who Soma's gonna pick, man. One thing I know for sure though, he's not gonna be picking Jaedong.
Mm.
Jaedong looking absolutely like a nightmare in that matchup. There we go, finally. Okay, here's the group schedule. Awesome. So we're gonna be sticking with Monday, Tuesday. I've been waiting for this. Group nomination on the 6th, 13 and 14, group A and B. Oh, and there we go. We've got the full schedule all the way to the finals. Those of you been waiting around, wondering, when this is gonna be happening. If you're like out there thinking about buying tickets to fly to this event, we've had to wait until now to figure it out. I'm glad that we finally have that schedule. Guys, if you are wanting to take a look at the schedule and you're watching this in the future and you don't know, um, you don't want to look at Wikipedia in case you end up getting uh, spoiled, I'm going to put this up on the Patreon page and just go check it out. Check out the Patreon page, follow it for free. You don't actually have to support. Just follow it if you can't afford it, and we'll be putting up all kinds of information, good information like that, like the um, schedule for ASL, and then also wherever Shun and I are going to be casting in the future. That information will be up on that page as well.
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone that has supported us. It really does make the world of difference. There'll be a link down below in the description or the one of the chat comments if you do want to support. We do. There's also our PayPal's there if you don't like Patreon. But yeah, even just checking us out, following for free means a lot. The fact that you guys tune in to watch our cast, it's quite literally a dream come true to be here casting the ASL for you guys, and we are super stoked to go deep into this tournament, see what unfolds in the round of 16. So there will be a little bit of a week break. We'll have the group ceremony on Monday, and then will be the week after, Monday, Tuesday, for the final showdown between these guys that have broken it through to see who can actually make it through to the quarterfinals and beyond. So yeah, a couple of weeks to wait. Going to be a week from Monday, and then we'll be seeing the round of 16, Group A on Monday and Group B on Tuesday, and then obviously Monday and Tuesday for C and D. Thank you so much to everyone that has tuned in, has supported us in what we do. We expect to do this for many years to come, and we hope you guys have enjoyed the games in the round of 24 and you've enjoyed our cast. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thanks, guys. Good night.